You have felt it before. The quiet frustration when someone with less intelligence, less discipline, less vision somehow controls the room while you stand there invisible. The meeting ends and their idea wins even though yours was sharper. The conversation shifts and they get the respect that should have been yours. The opportunity moves toward them, not you. You tell yourself it does not matter. It does. You want to outsmart everyone. Not for ego. For leverage. For freedom. For control over your own outcomes. And the uncomfortable truth is this: intelligence is not enough. Raw IQ is a private asset. Social intelligence is a public weapon. And the person who understands the weapon wins. Every time. If you want to outsmart everyone, you must first understand what game you are in. Most people think they are in a game of truth. They are not. They are in a game of perception. And perception is controlled by framing. If you do not control the frame, you are living inside someone else's narrative. That is why average minds dominate superior thinkers. They do not argue facts. They control context. This is Machiavelli's quiet warning. Power belongs to the one who defines reality first. So the first move is simple. Never respond inside someone else's frame. Pause. Observe. Reframe. When someone challenges you, they are not attacking your logic. They are testing your position. If you defend yourself emotionally, you lose status. If you calmly redefine the premise, you win authority. For example, if someone says, "Why are you so quiet?" they are framing you as passive. If you reply, "I speak when there is something worth saying," you shift the frame to selectiveness. Same trait. Different meaning. That is the game. The person who wins socially is not the loudest. They are the least reactive. Reaction is exposure. And exposure is vulnerability. The moment you rush to explain yourself, you surrender leverage. Outsmarting everyone begins with eliminating the need to prove. Powerful people do not rush. They let silence pressure the room. They let others fill it. And in the filling, people reveal intention, insecurity, strategy. Silence is interrogation without effort. Most people talk to reduce their own anxiety. You remain composed. That composure becomes unsettling. That unsettling presence becomes power. Now understand this. Information is currency, but most people spend it freely. They overshare their plans. They broadcast their goals. They confess their fears. That is amateur behavior. If you want to outsmart everyone, you must master selective opacity. Reveal enough to seem open. Conceal enough to stay unpredictable. Predictability is controllable. The minute others know your desires too clearly, they can manipulate outcomes against you. Machiavelli understood this deeply. Appear transparent. Operate strategically. The public sees the surface. Only you know the intention beneath. Here is your first vow. If you are still listening, it means you have felt the sting of being underestimated and you are ready to reverse it. Type, "I control the frame," in the comments right now. Not for me. For you. This is you drawing a psychological line. This is you acknowledging that passivity ends here. Once you declare control, your mind begins to look for leverage. And leverage is everything. Leverage comes from asymmetry. When you know more than others think you know, you are dangerous. When they know less about you than you know about them, you are powerful. That means observation becomes your primary tool. Study patterns. Study tone. Study how people react when they feel threatened. Most people repeat themselves when insecure. They overemphasize. They interrupt. They exaggerate credentials. Watch for it. Weakness hides in excess. Strength hides in restraint. When you spot insecurity, you know where influence can enter. Because influence is not about pushing. It is about aligning with hidden desire. And hidden desire is usually validation or safety. If someone craves validation, give it strategically. Small acknowledgement. Then guide. They will move where you point. If someone craves status, let them have spotlight in public. Control them in private. If someone craves safety, present yourself as stable and unpredictable at the same time. They will follow the one who feels like protection. Outsmarting people is not intellectual competition. It is emotional mapping. Now we move deeper. Strategic patience. Most people want immediate victory. They argue to win the moment. That is short-term ego. Intelligent dominance thinks long-term positioning. Sometimes you intentionally lose a small debate to gain trust. Sometimes you allow someone to believe they influenced you, so they relax their guard. This is counterintuitive. That is why it works. Machiavelli warned that appearing virtuous can be more useful than being virtuous. The same applies to appearing agreeable. Agreement lowers defenses. Lower defenses increase access. Access reveals leverage. Here is where discipline enters. Emotional control is the foundation. If someone insults you publicly and you retaliate instantly, you entertain the crowd but sacrifice strategic advantage. Instead, you acknowledge calmly. You smile slightly. You shift the conversation. Later, when stakes are higher, you control the decision that affects them. People who operate from ego burn their influence quickly. People who operate from structure accumulate influence quietly. You are not here to win arguments. You are here to win outcomes. That requires detachment from the need for approval. Many smart people fail because they want to be liked. Outsmarting everyone requires comfort with being misunderstood temporarily. You may be seen as reserved. Fine. You may be seen as calculating. Good. Mystery adds weight. Overexposure removes it. Remember that. Pause and evaluate your circle. Who in your life benefits from you staying predictable? Who benefits from you doubting your own perception? Who subtly redirects decisions to their advantage? See it clearly. The moment you see patterns, you cannot unsee them. And awareness changes posture. When your posture changes, people feel it without you saying a word. If this resonates, if you feel the shift already happening, type strategic mode in the comments. That is your second vow. Recognize it. You are no longer consuming content passively. You are building a lens. And once you see through this lens, social interactions look different. Let us escalate. Control the narrative of competence. Competence is not only about skill. It is about signaling. If you constantly advertise your abilities, you dilute their value. If you rarely speak about them but deliver results when required, you amplify perception. Think of the individual who speaks calmly and then executes flawlessly. Their reputation grows because mystery magnifies performance. In contrast, the loud expert is scrutinized. Scrutiny increases error exposure. Therefore, manage expectations strategically. Understate early. Over-deliver later. That creates shock. Shock creates memory. Memory creates reputation. Reputation is compounded perception over time. And reputation reduces resistance. When people already believe you are calculated and precise, they hesitate to challenge you recklessly. That hesitation is your edge. Build it intentionally. Your body language must align. Slow movements. Direct eye contact. Controlled breathing. Few gestures. Every motion deliberate. People equate calm with control. They equate haste with insecurity. Next principle. Ask more than you answer. Questions place you in control without appearing dominant. When you ask, you direct thinking paths. When you answer excessively, you react. For instance, if someone proposes an idea that threatens your position, instead of rejecting it, ask, how would that scale long term? Or, what risk assessment have you considered? Now they are defending, not you. You moved from target to evaluator. That is a silent promotion in status. Now understand the economy of attention. Attention is power. Most people chase it. The powerful decide where to place it. When you give someone focused attention, they feel significant. When you withdraw it strategically, they feel absence. Use this sparingly. It is potent. If someone consistently disrespects or undermines you, reduce accessibility. Speak less. Engage less. Be politely distant. Humans fear exclusion. The scarcity of your engagement increases perceived value. This is basic psychological asymmetry. Here is your third vow. If you are beginning to see that outsmarting everyone is less about aggression and more about architecture, type architect mindset below. You are not trying to dominate emotionally. You are designing leverage structurally. That distinction separates amateurs from strategists. Let us discuss alliances. No one truly outsmarts everyone alone. They build networks where information flows toward them. Become a hub. Connect individuals. Offer insight. Provide subtle value. When you are the connector, you hear everything first. Information advantage compounds daily, but never gossip recklessly. You curate. You filter. You decide what moves and what stops. That makes you indispensable. And indispensable people cannot be easily targeted. Another layer. Controlled vulnerability. Most people either overshare or never share. Both extremes create distance. Strategic vulnerability builds trust without surrendering control. You reveal a past mistake that shows growth. You admit a challenge that you overcame. This humanizes you while reinforcing resilience. People trust growth narratives. They relate to struggle. But they respect mastery. So share selectively with upward framing. Now we approach manipulation defense. Outsmarting everyone is not only influencing others. It is preventing being influenced unconsciously. Watch for urgency pressure. Decide now. Watch for excessive flattery before requests. Watch for fear framing. When someone tries to limit your thinking window, expand it deliberately. Say, "I will consider this and respond tomorrow." Time interrupts manipulation. Space restores clarity. Always create breathing room before major commitments. Emotional intelligence is your radar. Notice shifts in tone. Notice inconsistencies between words and micro-expressions. If someone says they support you but avoids eye contact and tightens their jaw, data conflicts. Trust patterns over statements. Repeated small contradictions signal misalignment. Address it calmly or reposition accordingly. If you are recognizing past situations where you were maneuvered because you moved too fast, type "no more rush" in the comments. That is your fourth vow. Speed without clarity is vulnerability. Patience with observation is dominance. We go further. Detach from outcome anxiety. When you need something too much, you leak power. Neediness shifts leverage outward. The person who appears willing to walk away controls negotiation. This applies to business, relationships, leadership. If you cultivate internal abundance, you negotiate from choice, not desperation. And choice is visible. It changes tone. It changes posture. It changes decision-making. Study incentive structures. Every individual acts according to perceived benefit. Map their benefit. Align your proposal with it. Or expose contradiction. If someone resists you, ask internally, what are they protecting? Status, security, ego. Once identified, you either protect it for them or destabilize it carefully. Nothing moves without incentive. Now reflect. The goal is not cruelty. It is clarity. Machiavelli was misread as advocating malice. In reality, he advocated realism. He understood that naive virtue collapses under strategic adversaries. You are not becoming manipulative. You are becoming immune and intentional. You are removing blind trust and replacing it with structured awareness. Here is your fifth vow. If you are committed to applying at least one of these strategies within the next 24 hours, type "execute" in the comments. Action solidifies identity. Identity solidifies behavior. Behavior shapes destiny. Final layer. Control your internal narrative. Outsmarting everyone externally begins with not sabotaging yourself internally. If you label yourself unlucky or socially awkward, your posture reflects it. Replace internal language with strategic framing. Instead of "I am bad at confrontation," shift to "I am refining confrontation skill." Subtle shift. Massive consequence. Because the brain follows linguistic instruction. And language shapes behavior. From today forward, move intentionally. Speak less. Observe more. Reframe often. Reveal selectively. Build alliances. Control pace. Detach from desperate outcomes. Ask powerful questions. Guard information. Signal calm. Understate. Over-deliver. And never, ever let someone else define your position without challenge. The truth is simple. Most people are not smarter than you. They are simply more strategic. Strategy multiplies intelligence. Without it, intelligence is trapped. With it, Intelligence dominates. And now the final commitment. If you truly want to outsmart everyone, not through arrogance but through architecture, type game changed. Because once you see the structure, you cannot go back to blindness. You will enter rooms differently. You will listen differently. You will speak differently. And slowly, quietly, people will begin to look at you differently. Not because you demanded respect, but because you designed it. That is the shift. That is the method. That is the move.